Nice cover art. Nice or boobs?
Hello and welcome to episode 54 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name's Chet Roivers, with me as usual is John Denton.
What's up?
The format's the same as ever. John and I are going to go through two top 10 lists, the 10 games we've been playing over the last 7 days. Number 10s are the games we've been playing the least. Number 1s are the games we've been playing the most. That's it. John, let's go number 10.
Cool, quick one to start. Wipeout 2048 on Vita. Another PlayStation Plus deal. It's sitting on there. I'd actually got rid of my hard copy of the game. Decided to download it because it was free. Played it a bit. It's still really fun. And then I decided to delete it to make space for something else. And then as I did that, I realised that it's no longer free. So that would be the only time that I would play that game ever again. And as it was deleting, I was like, And then, yeah, that's over. But PlayStation Plus is awesome. I'll talk about it more in a bit.
Okay. All right, wicked. So when they give those freebie games away, it's just for a short window of time?
Yeah, you can keep them. If once you downloaded them, they'll still work as long as you keep them. So on PS3, you've got a big hard drive. You just keep them for whenever. But I've only got an 8 gig stick on my Vita because of like absolutely extortionate prices that they charge for memory on that thing. So I can only really fit sort of 2, because 8 gig translates to like 6.2 gig or something. So you can only really keep 2 or 3 games on there at any time.
Yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. All right, okay, my number 10 is New Super Mario Bros. U on the Nintendo Wii U. We spoke about it a lot when it came out. I just turned it on because there's a PlayStation 3 game that I played, which is later in my list. I turned on the PS3 and there was an absolutely ridiculous update, which was a tiny bit of memory, but the PlayStation 3 is such a... whatever, it took me forever, so I just stuck the Wii U on and played New Super Mario Bros. U on the gamepad. And I was just like, why don't I always play this? It's superb. It's a superb Mario game. Because I played it primarily before it came out, I didn't see all the Miiverse messages that come up after you die or after you complete a level, and some of them were really helpful. So that was quite cool, because I mean, obviously there wasn't many of those around, when I played it initially. Yeah. But yes, a hell of a game. Really, really good 2D Mario game. What can you say?
Yeah, no doubt. I need to go back to it. I'm right at the end. I think I'm one world off the last world. I don't know. I had good intentions, as I always do with Mario. I was like, I'm going to get every coin. I'm going to get every secret level. I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think I'm going to have time. But I definitely want to beat Bowles.
Yeah, fair enough. I will. I don't know.
It's nice to stick the old Wii U on again as well.
It is. It was nice.
It's
been a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, good old Mary. Number 9 for me is Real Racing 3. I talked about it last week. I'd only just played a little bit of it, and the in-app, it's free, and then it's all sort of in-app purchase type deal. And I didn't find it too egregious. Playing more, it is very intrusive. As you're driving, your car will deteriorate. Basically, like the engine suffers and the oil suffers, and that affects its performance. And you can repair it getting in-game currency, but even when you get a repair, you have to wait for that to 2 minutes for that to work or something like that. So everything eventually just like spinning plates and all these timed things just to be able to play again. And of course, you can pay for a second currency, which you also earn in-game as well, but much slower. You can pay to speed everything up and keep playing. The fact the game is free and is so good, it doesn't really bother me so much. I don't really want to play games that are built like this because it just doesn't. I think I'm just from a different generation. I would rather lay down three or 4 quid for this game and just play it normally. But the fact it's free in the first place, if that's the structure of the game, that's how it works. It doesn't bother me that much, and it's still a really nice game.
I'll talk about it in a bit because I have played it as well. But I mean, if you have to pay for something, say you wanted to bypass a load of things that were going to take 2 minutes, how much does that cost?
I don't know. I didn't check. I think it's like 69p for a pack of those things, and then you can buy specific cars, and it does scale up, and you can spend a fortune if you want, but it's up to you. When they don't make you pay for it in the first place, it doesn't bother me. The only thing I ever worry about is when you see stuff like this, and you worry that all games are going to be like this, and I think that's where the panic stems from. Yeah. But until that happens, and I don't think that will happen, when stuff like Assassin's Creed 3 is shifting 12 million, and COD's doing whatever it's doing, FIFA's doing whatever it's doing, I don't think we need to worry about that just yet.
It seems to be doing quite well there. There's loads of 5-star reviews from people.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the last ones, they were the top grossing ones ever, I think, or certainly up there. So yeah, this one, people love that series.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people who aren't gamers, traditional gamers, I think, just got into gaming recently with their phones.
Yeah. True that. Okay, all right. My number 9 is an Xbox Live indie game called Galactic Fortress.
How do you find them?
Well, I found it because you can't judge a book by its cover, but you pretty much fucking can judge an Xbox Live indie game by its cover. That's actually not 100% true, but the cover, it's an instant download. It's a guy, not to be impolite, but he was a slightly geeky-looking guy who'd drawn a woman on his arm and he'd drawn over his own chest to make it look like he had a six-pack.
Oh, so there's a photo of him?
No, it's kind of like he's taken a photo and manipulated it, but he's drawn a six-pack on himself and he's holding a massive machine gun with a girl on his arm, and I was like, it has to be good. No, it's one of the worst Xbox Live indie games I've ever downloaded. To its credit, though, it's actually there's a really good idea behind it. It sort of takes on the tropes of the modern military shooter, so all the class systems and stuff, and the game types are like capture the flag and whatnot. But it's all top down. It looks like Gauntlet.
Okay.
It doesn't work. The phrase that kept jumping into my head when I was playing it is bric-a-brac, because all of the if you want to be a sniper, it's like a purple triangle or something. If you want to be a medic, it's like a rectangle with fucking prongs and a star symbol on it. It's just like there's no assets. It's just a load of shapes, sort of just to try and make things look like. It just looks like a fucking mess.
Stickle bricks.
What's stickle bricks?
Those little bricks that used to stick together when you were a kid.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Those little prongs. Yeah.
But it looks. It's ugly as sin. That your enemies take loads of bullets. You only take one to die. You can't tell where the flag is because the only mode available on the free trial is to capture the flag, and you don't know where it is. And you can't tell your enemies apart from your own team because you're just massive sort of moving bric-a-brac shaped fucking mess. It's absolutely diabolical. It's a nice idea, and I can kind of empathise with the guy that made it, because there must be a real temptation if you're just starting out making games to make something just so you can put it for sale. But it shows a bit of a lack of self-awareness, because nobody in their right mind would pay for this. It doesn't work. It's nice that you've made it, but don't try and sell it to me because you're a nutter. Yeah, I mean, a horrendous letdown, but a good idea, really.
A nice cover art.
Nice, yes, I suppose you could say it was nice.
Yeah, I'm all for people drawing six-packs on themselves. So
yeah,
play to that guy.
Yeah, me too.
My number 8 is a game called The Silent Age, which was recommended by a listener on Twitter. Free iPhone adventure game. Did you get it as well?
I did. It's higher on my list, yeah.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to play that much of it, unfortunately. But what I did play, I really liked the style of it. This kind of like 70s, I don't know what you'd call it, but very 70s-y style. It's definitely a point-and-click adventure with gameplay. I was worried when I started playing it was going to be one of those games where you just walk in a straight line, but it actually seems to have little puzzles in it, a lot of intrigue. I've just got to the bit where you kind of find out what the entire plot of the game's going to be.
Yeah.
And I meant to go back to it, but I just literally haven't found time. Okay. But as a free download, it's properly a free game. So even from what I've played, I'd highly recommend it for iPhone and iPad. The Silent Age, you'll talk about it later, and you'll probably be able to talk about it in more detail.
Cool.
But,
okay, we'll do.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, my number 8 is Need for Speed Most Wanted. It's blatantly not my number 8, it's my number 1 probably, or number 2, but I don't want to talk about it very much. I'll just say this: after we recorded last week, as I said, a load of us went to go and have a game. We all jumped into a lobby, and one of us couldn't join. It said that he had new DLC when all of us didn't. And it turns out that he'd, on booting the game up, had been asked to download a 2.1 gig update that none of us had been asked to do.
Right.
It wasn't in the store. We couldn't find it, so what we had to do was go all the way back to the dashboard, search Need for Speed, and jump through all of these hoops to finally find it. Just as an illustration of how fucking screwed it is. I mean, it is such a... Yeah, it's as brilliant as it is. You get the feeling that EA are kind of... it's on the back burner. I might be wrong about that, but anyway, that was just another illustration of how fucking stupid it is. They've given us a load of new content. You get new billboards and stuff. There's new playlists for online play. Some of them are really funny. Some of them are just involve all of you just driving off a hill by the lighthouse and just seeing all these cars flying into the ocean's funny. And just this, I'm trying not to turn into Howard Hughes. Do you remember our friend Zeno with Crackdown?
Oh yeah, when he had to get every single orb.
And there was one orb for about a month, and I remember I went round to his gaff, and the blinds were closed, and he was sat there like pasty face, just walking around that world. I was like, I'm not going to let that happen to me. But there's one speed camera in Most Wanted that I haven't found, and I've played that game so much, and I've driven everywhere so many times, and the fact that I'm not going to let it start to bother me, because there are moments where I'm just like, where is it then? It must be somewhere.
You can't highlight them on the map or anything like that.
You know what? I think there must be a way. I think that you can download like a PDF or something from the internet which has them all marked. And I'll look into that when it starts to bother me. And driving around in Friends free play mode, me and my girlfriend the other day were just driving around looking for billboards. Some of the new billboards are like puzzles. They're off the track and you have to try and figure out how to get to them. It's brilliant. I mean, I still love that game so much, but it's stressful loving something that appears to be the only person that gives a shit about it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I can't play that game ever again because of the amount of times I've had to start it from the beginning through different work-related reasons. But still got a lot of time for it, no doubt. But yeah, even thinking about that opening sequence with Muse again, it just makes me feel sick. Number 7 for me is Ridiculous Fishing on the iPhone, which came out today. The day we were recording, Wednesday. I'd heard about this the week before, so I put out a feed on Twitter. So I wanted some new iOS stuff. And people started mentioning this game's coming out in a week and it's going to be awesome. And it is. It's from the people that made Super Crate Box, a game I haven't played, and a bunch of other cool stuff. They're called Vlambeer. And it's a game about ridiculous fishing. So what you do is you've got your boat and you press the screen and then that'll drop your line and that starts going down. You have to tilt the phone to dodge all the fish on the way down. Then when either a fish bites or you get to the end of your line, you start coming back up, and then you have to use the phone to grab all the fish on the way back up, and you can grab an infinite amount. So you're just like moving the phone to grab all the fish, and then the line comes up, you flick all the fish into the air, and then you pull out a gun and you have to shoot them all. And then the ones that you shoot, you get money for, and then you go into the in-game store. There's no in-app purchases or anything; it's all in-game currency. And then you can buy like a longer line, or you can buy a shotgun or an Uzi, or like a chainsaw lure, so you can go down and chainsaw things so things don't catch you on the way down. And already from what I've played, it's gone from being amusing to like really amusing and really entertaining in the space of about 10 minutes. And if there's like 4 new areas that I've still got to unlock, and like much longer lures, and the further you go down, there's more like weird shit. And then just chucking them in the air, the music's so good. It's like Streets of Rage music. It's just like fucking blowing up all these fish with blood everywhere. It's really good, really really fun.
How much?
$1.99.
When you say that there's no in-app purchases, I mean, if you want to buy a load of in-game currency with real money, can you not do that?
No.
That seems funny. I mean, I know it's annoying.
It's old-fashioned in a way that it's all structured around earning it properly,
Yeah.
But you're already within, like I said, 10-15 minutes, I'm already earning decent money and unlocking the stuff. It's properly balanced. It's balanced in the old-fashioned way before this stuff came in. And I highly recommend it to everyone already, and I know it's only going to get better.
Okay.
Yeah, and people are raving about it, other people as well, who've played more than me.
Is there a free trial?
No, it's just £1.99, but I'm normally a bit hesitant to put down, even though it's only £2, that on an iOS game, but it's one of those ones. Like, I think Super Hexagon was that price as well, and that was another one everyone was banging on about it, and I certainly don't regret that, and I'm already not regretting this.
Very cool. Okay, my number 7 is Real Racing 3, which we've already spoken about. It does look unreal. It does look fantastically good. I mean, for an iOS, the fact that an iOS device is displaying that is quite remarkable. The time-shifted multiplayer element is very cool, although it is just basically a set of sort of shifting ghosts. It's a very cool idea. The ratio of women to men playing it was quite surprising, I thought. I did 3 or 4 races, and every time I was playing against the ghosts of other people, it was always girls with pictures of themselves. I mean, it might be some dodgy bloke who's put a fake picture, but it seemed like there were way more women playing it than blokes, which was quite surprising.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I haven't played it long enough to gauge whether the microtransactions are really bent, but on that evidence, it's really impressive. I mean, just to see what's possible, if you have an iOS device that supports it, just download it and have a look because it is free. But yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm not as bothered by games that are free outright and then there's microtransactions than I am if you have to pay for it first as well. But yeah, impressive as hell to look at for definite, and it's fun. It's simple and fun.
Yeah, so it's definitely a nice little game. I would rather it didn't have any of that stuff in, but then I wouldn't get it for free, and I probably would have never bought it. So,
Indeed.
What can you do? But yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, me neither.
But maybe if I was really excited about it and had played the other two, I think that's the thing. If I played the other two and they were just normal games that you paid for and you could play, and then suddenly the third one is this weird mess, basically. Maybe I'd be disappointed then. But who knows? Can't worry about that shit.
Exactly.
My number 6 is God of War Goes to Sparta on PS Vita. Played a lot of Vita this week, actually. It's still really good, really enjoying it. I love God of War. People have talked about the story so far. I'm a bit confused as to actually what the hell's going on, so I'm not so sure about that, but maybe it'll turn the corner. But in terms of getting the spectacle and the combat and the sense of like awe that God of War does better than almost anything, they've nailed it really, and it still looks nice on Vita, a little bit pixely, but it was down to on PS Plus. It was down to like $278 this week to celebrate the God of War launch, the Ascension launch, which is a bloody good price for a game that's really not that old, and it is still very good. So yeah, very cool. I will just plug away at that until I get to the end, no doubt, because I do love me some crates.
Sweet. Okay. Okay, my number 6 is a game called... do you remember I spoke ages ago about an Xbox Live indie game that had the best title of any game I'd ever seen? Bureau, Shattered Slipper.
Oh, yeah.
This is made by the same guy, a one-man band, and it's called Investigate This, The Scourge of the Scarecrow.
Okay.
It's incredibly hard to describe. The game that it reminds me most of is Deadly Premonition, and I'm not a fan of Deadly Premonition, but in terms of the tone, it's kind of a mystery. Right. It's an interactive... The problem is that the opening part, Bureau Shatter Slipper, it kept changing gameplay. It was a very interesting game that kept changing what it was. The opening of this, the opening 10 minutes, is just basically an interactive silent movie. It's kind of like a mystery, or this duo of detectives, and there's some woman being bothered by a possessed scarecrow. The visuals are really weird. That it at the same time as being amazingly sophisticated for Xbox Live indie games, they look really old and ghostly. It's kind of, if you imagine what photorealism looked like in like the PS2 era. So right. There's kind of it looks impressive, but at the same time there's no detail on anything, and it just kind of, the faces look like dead-eyed and stuff. It's got the weirdness of something that's homemade. The dialogue is kind of a little bit off kilter, and there's just weird things that happen when you go and visit this woman. One of the detectives goes, "Hey, free corn maze," and there's this FPS sequence where you run around a corn maze, like a garden maze in a cornfield. And I was like, that isn't even a thing. What the hell is that? It's full of weird stuff. And not self-consciously weird stuff, which is how I felt about Deadly Premonition. I think I'm going to buy the whole thing. All of his games, his name's Guy Gaylor, and he just makes, he's done a whole load of Xbox Live indie games, and they're all 240 Microsoft points. I think I'm going to take a punt on this one as well. It's interesting because it's so clearly the work of one person that it makes it quite fascinating, and could be brilliant after that. It's difficult to gauge because the opening is literally a lot of dialogue and not much gameplay, but I know, having played the other game, I'm sure it will change, but interesting anyway.
What's it called again?
Investigate This, The Scourge of the Scarecrow.
It sounds like he keeps making like franchises, but he's never going to make sequels for them.
Well, I tell you what, the weirdness of that, his titles are nowhere near as weird as the dialogue in the games.
Really?
It's just off kilter, but not self-consciously so. It's not trying to be weird. It's just he seems like an eccentric person.
All right,
worth a look.
Yeah, I mean, there's you mine that store quite well. I think because there's so much crap, and not many people. I mean, barely anyone talks about that. I'm going to be bloody sad to see it go, I'll tell you that. Yeah, no doubt. Right, my number 5 is another weird game, but in a very different way. It's Metal Gear Solid 2 on Vita. The latest PS Plus download for Vita is the HD collection, Metal Gear Solid HD collection, where you get 2 and 3. And so I decided to go back to 2. I've not played it since it came out 10 years ago or something like that. And it's almost impossible to control. I can't believe that I've ever finished and enjoyed this game. I'm still enjoying it weirdly, despite the controls. It's like the fucking controls made by an alien. Yeah. Just to just to lean against the wall and peek round and pull your gun out. Something that is one button these days is like 4 different buttons, and then if you're holding the stick, it'll face the wrong way, so you have to let go of the stick as you do it. It's fucking backwards. And I can distinctly remember, because my brother must have been 12 when he played this, and so you got a lot of free time when you're 12. And I think he did it maybe 3 or 4 times on the hardest difficulty, getting all the dog tags from all the soldiers. And I can remember him being able to move through that world as well as, you or I could move through Vanquish or Bayonetta or something like that. Moving up, putting the gun behind guards' back, saying freeze, and then shaking them down for their dog tags and directing them. God knows how he did that, but I'm still impressed by how it looks on Vita. It's cool. It was amazing to have that in your hand and not feel compromised. And it just reminds me of the time that I just loved games like this. Like Metal Gear 4 kind of killed it for me a little bit, and then Revengeance is his own thing. But back then, those games were just fucking cool. They were really weird, but they're so weird, but not in a... certainly in a self-conscious way, but not in a, like, deliberately, I'm a weird game, come and look at me, I'm wacky sort of way. The games were just weird then, and that's just what they were. And this is definitely that. And just the first boss, there's, like, all these different ways you can do it. Almost like you can just shoot the boss, or you can put it to sleep, and there's these little tricks that happen in the fight, like this shines a light on you, and suddenly you have to go into first person to shoot the light. Just so many cool ideas in every single aspect of it. And I do miss that kind of, even though that series still exists, and 4 is still full of that as well, even though that game's 5 years old. Yeah, it's cool. It's just a shame it's so fucking hard to play.
Yeah, I remember when I reviewed the HD collection, I said in my review I wrote, don't play them backwards, because the evolution of the control styles means that to go from like Peace Walker back to 3 and then back to 2, it would just I can't imagine anything more frustrating, because it is. They're all so different, and Peace Walker's by far the most straightforward. Yeah, because when 3 came out, it had the same controls as 2 basically, and then when they did the subsistence version, they put the third-person camera in, which makes it feel like an actual game instead of the weirdness. But yeah, going back to that, I'm getting my head around it, because I've done it before in my life and it wasn't a problem, so I must still be able to do it. But yeah, when you're used to just jabbing one button to turn around a corner, it's fucking mental. But yeah, that's Metal Gear. They're not easy. No, that's true. All right. My number 5 is Army of 2: The Devil's Cartel on the Xbox 360.
Oh yeah.
Not the full version, just the demo, which came out a couple of days ago.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. I have to say, I've got something always gets me about, recently anyway, the fact that EA seem to be the only publisher that are still going hell for leather on big, dumb, expensive-looking action games. And this looks really fun. I mean, when you consider how much... I was kind of ambivalent about the first one, but the second one was trash.
Yeah.
Really just brain-dead, there was nothing to recommend that game. Me and a friend just kind of shrugged halfway through when we were playing on calm and said, should we just not bother? And we didn't. It's absolute. I mean, I say the old one was unoriginal. So's this. I mean, there's a bit in the demo where you hold X to revive your buddy. There's a bit where you bunk each other up to a high ledge. There's a gun turret section. But having said that, it does look nice. It feels good. The shooting's really, really robust and nice. It's on the Frostbite engine, so all of the environments are destructible.
Okay.
So cover dissipates really quickly, and that's really, really cool. And you can shoot enemies through pillars and stuff. And on the gun turret set piece, you basically completely...
gun turret set piece.
Yeah, that's what I said, didn't I? Didn't I say that before? I did, yeah. And you're on the side of a chopper. Who'd have thought it? Yeah, you to get these guys, you have to basically shoot the shit out of a building, and it just starts collapsing. And it's proper blockbuster nonsense. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it does know its audience, and I remember when I played it months ago, and I was talking to one of the developers, and he seemed to have his head screwed on. He was just like, we want to make the video game equivalent of The Expendables. The Expendables is a shit film, but I mean, what he meant obviously was that it has to have the right attitude towards ultra-violence. It has a kind of sense of humour. In terms of tone, this one seems to be reminding me of 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, which is not a bad thing at all.
No, not a bad thing at all.
It's at this point, it's far superior to the last one, for definite, and I will play it. It looks like fun, mindless fun, unoriginal fun, but yeah. The only problem is Gears of War's out next week, and we'll talk about that next week, obviously. If you've got an Xbox 360... I'm sure I haven't played Gears yet, but I'm sure there's going to be no contest. But if you've got a PS3, it's a nice old school cover based shooter, and it's big and expensive and stupid. I think it's going to be fun, but it just seems like a strange franchise to really pump money into, because I don't know. I guess the last two must have done really well.
Yeah, maybe they did. Maybe they. Yeah, seems weird. Definitely, I was amazed that they were making a third one after that.
Yeah, me too.
Horror show number 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever. I'm sure I'll probably end up playing it either for work or for some other reason, and giving it halfway through like I normally do.
Okay,
not for work.
It's genuinely not bad.
Yeah, my number 4 is Assassin's Creed 3, a game that I've been playing every week, and I think I'm done.
What's happened?
I got to the bit where you stop being Haytham Kenway, and then you start being Connor, and you have to play hide and seek.
Oh yeah.
For ages, and I was just like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I've been playing this game for hours, and now I'm playing hide and seek. So I know how to fucking hide. This is like Assassin's Creed 90.
Yeah.
I know how to fucking hide in a bush. I don't mind the fact that they're being a little bit bold in their pacing and all that sort of stuff, and maybe if I was more patient, I could hack it a bit more. But fundamentally, I don't like Assassin's Creed anyway. I've liked parts of this one, but when it was that, I did that, and then the next bit was I was trying to rescue your mum from a burning building, and I was just I can't do any more Assassin's Creed, and yeah, I'm done. I went and just played something more fun. Shit.
Okay, that's a shame. But yeah, I suppose it has robbed a lot of people up the wrong way. So fair.
But I mean, I just don't like those games. So it's kind of stupid for me to go and the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth Assassin's Creed, to then suddenly expect it to appeal to me. Yeah, those games aren't for me. There's no point. My opinion is almost irrelevant, I think, at this point. Because you ended up just fucking headbutting a brick wall after a while. It's like, why would you listen to someone who doesn't like the game after five games? Just shut up. It's like someone slating Saw 5 that didn't like Saw 1 to 4. Just don't even talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm impressed that you had a go with it anyway. Because I
did like parts of it. I liked the way it started. Definitely, the opening level was amazing. But yeah.
Okay, all right then. My number 4 is the aforementioned The Silent Age, recommended, as we said, by a listener on Twitter, and I'm very grateful, because this is not. I don't think I would have happened upon this at all, and it's not necessarily something that I try and play anyway. As you said, it looks like a point and click adventure, but it's not really. It's like an old style adventure game. You're not analysing the environment very much. You're always moving through it. It's incredibly stylish. I love the way it looks. There's a really nice ambient soundtrack as well.
Oh yeah.
Basically, episode 1 is free, and then afterwards you're encouraged, or you're welcome to donate to enable them to make more episodes. I don't want to say a massive amount about it. It's impressed the hell out of me. It is very reminiscent of sort of 1970s conspiracy thrillers, like 3 Days of the Condor and the Parallax View and stuff, where, I mean, as a modern equivalent would probably be that Will Smith film. What's it called? What the hell was it called? Shadow... What the hell was that film called?
I was trying to think of a really fucking shit Will Smith film, but I couldn't even think of it for the gag.
Oh my god, I can't believe I can't remember. It's Techno, Tony Scott.
Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State, yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's reminiscent of that kind of, but primarily the 1970s. It's familiar to everybody. The intro is absolutely beautiful. Through a few wordless frames, they just illustrate who the main character is. He's just a blank face with a moustache, but I was like, I care about the guy already. It's so wonderful. It's so beautifully well done. That very, very, very beginning intro.
Very good, yeah.
I don't want to, I'll just say, if you have an iOS device, just download it. It's not the kind of thing I thought I would like. It's very evocative, very, very. I loved it. The only thing wrong with it really is at the beginning. There's a little bit of too much toing and froing between puzzles, so you'll walk as far as you can physically get in the world, and it'll say, you need this, and then you have to go all the way back to the beginning, do that, and then it does that a few times, which is a bit tiresome, but it settles down after that. It's about murder, there's a conspiracy, needless to say. Time travel plays a part somewhere. I will just say, I threw a few. You can donate in increments. So I think it was $3, $6, $12, whatever. And yeah, I threw them a little bit of money, man, because I want to see another one. It's I don't want to spoil it. That's. I just want to be careful not to spoil it. But I'd say if you have an iOS device, just download it and have a look. The first episode's free.
Yeah, it's well written as well. I remember now. He comments on you can sort of press a lot of the stuff in the world that's incidental, but the way he comments on it is quite funny. Yeah. It's not a comedy, but yeah, it's quite sarcastic.
Definitely not a comedy, and there's loads of sort of funny references to the fact that it starts in the past and then it goes elsewhere. But yeah, I say support it. I think at least have a look.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get through it this week because, like I said, I enjoyed what I played.
Cool.
iOS again for me, number 3. That was the worst rap ever. Is The Room. Have you heard of The Room?
My girlfriend's been harassing me to download it all day, and I haven't yet, but I will.
It's fucking cool. I remember it existing, and then I forgot about it. Then it won the BAFTA for best fucking game or something, best room. I don't know. And so we decided to download it. My wife and I played it, in fact, and it's just super cool. It's it's kind of hard to describe. You're basically in a room with a box, an old-fashioned Victorian-style, like, puzzle box, I guess. I don't even know if that's a thing, but that's what it looked like to me. And there are clues, and you have to move around the box and sort of manipulate different things using classic iOS interactions, little swipe here, little twist here. And that'll unlock another bit of the box, and you keep sort of pulling it apart. And there are notes that you find that start to unravel a story, really kind of intelligently written story as well. And the whole thing has a kind of overbearingly creepy atmosphere. And we've talked about horror a bit on this podcast, and my problems with stuff like Slender, which do scare you, but I just think are really cheap because it's not hard to build up tension and fucking jump. There's like those videos that you always used to show me where you'd watch a car driving around the corner and then a fucking thing would jump out. Whereas this is like, there's no jump scares or anything like that. It's just this overwhelming sense of foreboding done through the soundtrack mainly. It's like, you're unlock a clue and then you suddenly hear footsteps coming up some wooden stairs, but there's no consequence to it. But, it was kind of shitting us both up, which was cool considering it's just a puzzle game, basically. And, it delves into kind of like, it feels like that kind of, I don't know anything about literature, so I'll speak out of turn, but what it reminds me, do you remember the Raven, the poem The Raven?
Yeah.
Which I only know about from The Simpsons. But it kind of reminds me of that, like some fucking opium-addled writer stuck in a room. That's kind of like the story. He's like a sort of scientist and it's like delving into the occult. It's really, really stylish, that kind of, I'd say maybe Poe, but what the fuck do I know? But the puzzles and the gameplay and the way it looks are brilliant. It's free for the first chapter. It's divided into chapters. Then after that, it'll ask you if you want to pay a couple of quid, I think, to get the rest of the game. We did it and we were like, yeah, let's definitely pay. And very, 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 very good. Very stylish, very cool, creepy, intriguing, clever, and classically built for the device. Get it if you haven't already.
Yeah, no, I mean it's been a topic of conversation this very morning, weirdly enough. So I will download it. Have you got the iPad version or the iPhone?
iPhone, because my iPad, I've got the first generation iPad, so I don't think it would run.
Oh, right.
I think you do too, don't you? So yeah, it's fine on the phone. It would be better on an iPad, definitely, but I haven't got a beastly iPad, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm sure I'll speak more about that next week.
Yeah, it's fucking cool.
Nice one. Nice Juan.
It's ex-Criterion guys as well that made it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, those boys can program.
Is there like a really, really incongruous pop soundtrack? A couple of remixes of The Who, maybe?
But if it's Avril Lavigne in the middle of the box, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah. Okay, all right, my number 3 is Tomb Raider. I finished it. I'm worried that I think we possibly might have undersold it a little bit last week, because I do think it is just truly excellent. And of these Uncharted has spawned a whole host of imitators, even indirect ones. I mean, it's unfair to always say that Uncharted is the sort of daddy of this genre, because it's not really. I mean, that owed everything to the Sands of Time Prince of Persia trilogy, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, the whole climbing, all the, you know, the action mixed with the climbing and stuff. That's it's been done to death. And I basically think that Tomb Raider is second only to Uncharted 2. I think it's those two are the best.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Of the genre, if you can even call it a genre, subgenre, I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's just basically absolutely superb. I mean, I love the way the level design was completely superior as well. I like the way the environments kind of wind back in on themselves, and if you need to, you can use those torches kind of like breadcrumbs. You could probably say, I mean, it felt like some of the locations directly referenced Uncharted, particularly the sort of shantytown on the snowy cliffside.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say that Tomb Raider's nicking from Uncharted, I mean, it's going to go full circle because,
of course.
There are the same usual inconsistencies. You know, you can burn this but not that. There's branches blocking this way but not that. But you know, the usual stuff. But within the sort of framework of an action game like this, it was just really, I thought it was great. And you know, we were talking last week about how suddenly Lara turns from an explorer into like a murderer.
Yeah.
There were some moments in the campaign, primarily in the cutscenes, where, for example, some guys would be running towards her and she'd use her shotgun on the ceiling and, you know, you block their route with a load of masonry and rubble. I mean, there's only so many times you can do that, obviously, but just as a way of staggering that transition, I think they could have used some devices like that, perhaps, maybe once or twice. Also, in regard to last week, you were talking about how it seemed really, really jarring when this small woman was overpowering these massive blokes.
Yeah.
One thing that I did think was brilliant at making you feel like you did genuinely have an advantage over them was that kind of almost cat-like slink manoeuvre that you do to kind of dodge fire or walk up. It was like a dodge move, but the way it was sort of animated, it was like almost feline, and you genuinely felt that would be an advantage over somebody with a you know, superior strength. And the fact there was no cover, I like the fact that it was no snap-on cover. You just kind of naturally hit the ground.
Yeah, I don't know how they managed to do that, to be honest.
It was impressive.
Because it doesn't ever fuck up.
That's exactly. I kept waiting for me to be technically behind cover and to be spotted, but that never happened. Yeah, I mean, I think it's excellent. The end, there are a couple of bits at the end which felt a little bit where the camera wouldn't allow you to see where you had to jump, and I just had to keep jumping in every direction until I found the right way. There was no other way. But aside from that, I just thought, yeah, marvellous game.
Yeah, like I said, I really did enjoy it. I don't really have many faults to pick, but I've already almost completely forgotten everything that happened in the game. And I kind of knew as I was playing it, it was just going to go in one ear and out the other, and I was going to enjoy my time there, but it's not going to stay with me. And I've still got the game sitting in my office, and I'm just, oh yeah, I played that and finished it, and it's kind of washed over me a little bit. But thoroughly enjoyed the 10 hours that I was playing it, and towards the end the combat actually does start to get really good. It is strange that she becomes the greatest killer of all time, but it's only when you establish a story that is grounded in reality that stuff does seem a little bit jarring. But it doesn't bother me. It's a fucking game, and you have to accept these things sometimes in games, because they don't think the only solution is to build your game like something like The Walking Dead, where you're losing so much gameplay just to inform a story, and it should always be the other way around.
True that.
But I mean, it seems to have done really well. So yeah, good. It's good to know that these big names still have some power when other things are suffering, and that shows that you can't just turn a game into a big name. Like, it doesn't seem that Dead Space has done that well, and that you need to have that. Not everything can be massive.
True that.
True made it is. The number 2 is a game that I didn't think I was going to be able to talk about this week, so I assumed I'd still be under embargo, but I'm not. It's Lego City Undercover on Wii U, which I played a ton of. And I have a review, should be up by now, I would have thought, on Video Gamer, or maybe the very beginning of next week. You know what it is. It's the open world Lego game, the Wii U exclusive, and I really like it. It's good. It's very good, in fact. It starts off brilliantly. Like, the opening cutscene is like hilariously funny. There's about 4 proper laugh out loud moments within that cutscene, sight gags that were just brilliantly written, perfectly timed. It reminded me of like classic Simpsons. It was that funny, It doesn't quite keep that level up throughout, but it never drops below chucklesome, and it's regularly laugh out loud funny. Your main guy, Chase McCain, is just a cracking character. I love him. It's like a sort of parody of every buddy cop movie wrapped into one guy. Really knowing all the jokes are for the dads, really, but just properly funny. And the game itself is a simple GTA clone, but the missions in enclosed areas. So the missions turned into more classic Lego game puzzling. So nothing that's really taxing, but kind of everything pulls together in a kind of Rube Goldberg kind of way in every level, and every level is really different as well. You've got one where you're having to learn kung fu from this guy who's half Morpheus and half he's called Barry Smith, and he's a plumber. But he's also he's also like this kung fu master, and everything in there is just really funny. In fact, it reminded me of Conker's Bad Fur Day, but without any of the lewdness. It's not lewd at all, but that kind of like regional English humour is in there quite a lot. And just loads of games, loads of great movie references. Some of them are kind of obvious and heavy-handed, but they're still done really well. Some of them more subtle. There's like good Mission Impossible 2 sight gag. There's brilliant Shawshank stuff, and it's these sort of limitations in gameplay, because it is a very simple game and it is a bit shaky on Wii U as well. It's a bit frame ratey, and the open world is cool to look at, but there's not really anything going on. It's not like GTA where you can stop on the side of a street and just watch the NPCs interact with each other and crazy stuff happen. It's more just like a canvas, but like the comedy is consistent enough and the design is good enough that it carries it through, definitely. And yeah, it's really cool. I've not finished it yet, but I like it. I don't really get it's got a very harsh review and edge, and I assumed that having not read it at the time, that it was just going to say, the game kind of falls apart after 2 hours, and I was going to be like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm really enjoying what I'm playing so far, but maybe it just runs out of ideas, whatnot. But then I read the review, and it was really, it almost felt sour and bitter, and it was like anti the tone of the game, which anyone with a sense of humour, I just couldn't imagine it, because it's such a like universal comedy. It's just really friendly, amiable, and genuinely funny, and not in a difficult way either. That really surprised me, but the other reviews that are coming out seem to be much more in line of what I'm thinking. So it's great for the Wii U to have an exclusive like this.
Yeah, indeed. I remember when I first saw it at that Nintendo Direct conference, I was like, that looks absolutely amazing. And the Eurogamer review was really encouraging. The Edge review was weird. It was like it was written by somebody who was adamant to hate it, who was just out to shit on it. I didn't quite understand that there's a real sort of, it's like his mind had been made up and he was all of his, I don't know, it just seemed like a very, very weird piece of writing. What do you must have an inkling about what you're going to score it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to score as high as Eurogamer's 9 for me, because the game is very simple, and it's got all, you can kind of play it with your eyes shut almost. There's like none of the puzzles are remotely taxing. You just kind of play through the game. Nothing's difficult. But I'd imagine it's sort of hovering around the sort of 7 mark. I don't think it can go higher than that. But one of those 7s you'd definitely recommend to people. I wouldn't recommend it to, say, our mutual friends who are more into like hardcore shooters, whatever like that. But for someone who's more of a Nintendo gamer, just definitely say to play it. So I haven't quite, and I need to get through to the end of the game. I haven't made my mind up yet, but there's not been a bit where I've not enjoyed myself.
Yeah, cool. No, I mean, I have a feeling I'm going to really like that game. The only thing that worries me is that apparently there's no co-op at all.
No, there's no co-op.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. To be honest, it does feel like it's struggling anyway, because the Wii U is a strange machine with a slower processor than the 360, which I don't know anything about this sort of shit, but that seems weird to me, seeing how old the 360 is. But it's got more memory, apparently. That's what someone at Criterion, in fact, told me. But I don't fucking understand. I don't even know why I brought that up. But it is sketchy, disappointingly so. When you're driving around, the frame rate is bad. But it's not like something you can choose to be bothered by it. It's not something that actually spoils the game.
That does make me wonder if perhaps Nintendo kind of put pressure on Traveller's Tales to rush it out, because there is a real dearth of must-have games on the Wii U at the moment, and it's everyone I know who's got a Wii U is just sitting twiddling their thumbs waiting for Pikmin.
Yeah.
So this is, it looks like a nice stopgap. I'm definitely gonna session it up. So.
Yeah, and it is just constant gags. Like, I texted you, didn't I, after about an hour of the game, and I was just like, this is just fucking jokes constantly. I don't mean that in that kind of like people from Chelsea way saying jokes. It was just literally joke, 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 joke. Everywhere you turn, constant gags, different styles of gags. Brilliantly written. Very, very funny.
Yeah, I can't wait. If only for the lols.
Yeah, it's pure lols.
Pure lolsville. Okay, all right. My number 2 is God of War Ascension on the PlayStation 3.
For real.
It's got off to a really terrible start. Every time I turn my PlayStation 3 on, I do think, what happened? It seems like, to be honest, I feel that the PlayStation 3, when it came out, was out of date when it was released. Because I remember when I first got broadband, not long after I got a PS3, it made no difference because the architecture of the machine won't allow you to sort of have that much bandwidth. So there was a mandatory 107 megabyte patch for God of War. Yeah. You couldn't play it without it.
Right.
It took 50 minutes to download.
That's a sneeze of a download.
I know, but half an hour before, I downloaded a 130 meg trailer on Xbox in less than a minute. So that put me off on it was not a great start. It takes 20 seconds just to create you a profile. The dial starts spinning as it,
feels like it was being made backwards, that machine.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't understand how so many people can love it, but it's different priorities. That's what the whole thing with PlayStation Plus. Some people think free games are great. I appear to be one of the only people on the planet who pays £40 for Xbox Live and feels that they're getting their money's worth, because I play a lot of online and I pay for the stability of that service. If they came on and said, yeah, the service is down for 14 hours, I'd be like, what? That's why I pay for Xbox Live anyway. But anyway, I started the game. I have to say at the beginning, I was like, that definitely, when you consider that Xbox 360's exclusives, namely Forza and Halo, are the best looking games on the machine, the big hitters from Sony, this and I suppose you'd say Sony All-Stars beat 'em up, whatever the hell it was called, it's definitely a downgrade from stuff that's come before it. The cutscenes at the beginning of Ascension are quite scrappy. There's a lot of rough edges and jaggies and stuff, and I was like, this is patently isn't better looking than God of War 3. It does get better, and I think that the real strength of it is when you're in big battles, the way it captures all of those, that's where the real oomph of the machine is most visible. When you're, especially when the cutscenes get big, when you're doing battle with the Colossus, and those bits are still absolutely jaw-dropping. But I still don't think, on the whole, the game's as good looking as God of War 3. It's very good. It just kind of left me... again, this is different strokes. The fact that I can play New Super Mario Bros. U, which is a game that I've played 1,000 times and still think I should be playing more of this. And this is the 4th God of War game, or the 5th that I've played, and I'm just kind of like... it's a little bit I've been here and done that. There's not a whole lot that's fresh about it. There are some jaw-dropping moments. And the story is it's still as amped up and mental as all of the God of War games, but there's less focus. It just seems a little bit more of a sort of, a bit more unsure of itself.
It pulls itself together by the end. Yeah, it's deliberate.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. It feels completely unfocused and messy at first, but then by the time you get to the end of the game, you realise why it was like that. It's just structurally a bit different. It makes sense by the end. Fair
enough. Okay, well, if you're the kind of person that likes God of War games, or games like this is a very good example of one. I just don't think it's better than God of War 3. Eurogamer described it as uneven, and I think that's bang on the money, because there were moments where I was like, that looks absolutely, oh my fucking word, incredible. I can't believe that I'm looking at this in the current generation. And then there were bits where I'm like, that kind of looks like a third-party port of something where really I was surprised by how poor it looked. But the actual, when you're doing battle with I don't necessarily mean the big colossi bits. I mean the bits when there's 10 enemies and that is captured perfectly with not a hint of slowdown, nothing, and it looks eye-popping. I haven't tried the multiplayer yet, so I'm sure I hear good things about it though, and the fact that that's visually the best part of the single player means that the multiplayer is almost certainly going to be impressive as well. A couple of things that I mentioned about Tomb Raider. There was an instance where I kept failing a quick time event, and then I had to go back and do it again, and it just seems like there's got to be an alternative to that, because that it exasperates me to the point where I'm so close to just turning this off. But yeah, it's a very good God of War game. I just don't think it's as good as 3, and I'll speak about the multiplayer next week probably.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I thought it was better than 3, but the reason I started banging on about why I shouldn't really have an opinion, not that I shouldn't have an opinion, but my opinion isn't really worth that much on Assassins, is when I was reading all the reviews of God of War, and I realised this is the 6th God of War game, and ultimately this is the game. It's for God of War fans. It's for people who love this series, and I am one of those people, way more than any other reviewer, it would seem. It sort of captured something with me with the first game. I think the fact that I loved Greek mythology as a kid, like Clash of the Titans was an early movie that I saw that really struck with me, and I watched that again as an adult. Fuck me, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But regardless, when you watch it when you're about 5, it was mind blowing. And I remember studying all the myths and stuff in school and loving all of that. So I think that's a large part of why I like it so much. But I definitely seem to like Ascension more than most. But then again, it feels like it's built for me. It's for the God of War fans. And what really did surprise me is I've read almost every review online, and I'm the only person that I can work out that's noticed that they've changed the combat, that they've changed the parry system. Whereas I think if they had done that in a Devil May Cry or something that people play, more reviewers more classically play a lot of, that would have been a big thing. And I made it a focal point of my review because the fact that they changed the parry system completely to someone who's played a fucking lot of God of War, that really changed the way the game played to me substantially. It's like a big change in a Pro Evo or FIFA to me, whereas to other people they probably didn't even really notice that it had changed.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
really.
exactly. So that kind of sums it up. But I think the people who are buying this day one, the God of War fans, and there is a sizable fan base, will notice that as well, and that will be a big talking point for them. So it's kind of like, it's funny when this happens, and I've been thinking about that, and I'll talk about it a little bit with my number one game as well, that when you get into sequels upon sequels upon sequels, as a critic, you start to, if you're not, you sort of realise that you can't really talk about the game in the same way that you can't talk to the audience unless you're part of the audience. When it comes to the fifth or sixth sequel, I'm starting to think, because when Assassin's Creed 4 comes out, right, I don't think that what I'm going to say about it is going to be as anywhere near as relevant as someone who, even as a reviewer, has loved that series and gone all the way through it and enjoyed it and understands it and understands where the developers are coming from, and is kind of inside that game. I don't know. It's just something that this kind of been jumping around in my head this week with the games that I've been playing.
Okay, fair enough. No, I do think it's very good, and there are moments in this that you just, there are, you do get those waves of like, this is why I have a PlayStation 3 in my house, is for things like this. But did you not think that in terms of the presentation it was a little bit scrappy?
There's problems with the audio. There's like audio bugs where that desyncs sometimes, but basically as I was looking at most of it, and I just thought it looked fucking amazing. It was the day before. It was the day the PS4 was announced. I was playing it, and I was thinking. I kept saying to myself, "This looks like a PS4 game." Now, I hadn't seen what PS4 games look like by this point, but that was something that I kept saying to myself. I thought it looked fucking amazing, but I thought 3 looked amazing as well, and perhaps even more so at times. But no, I really like the pacing of Ascension as well. It reminded me of the pacing of 2. But then again, this is I'm a Pro Evo fanboy for God of War. It's different. It is different. I've played those games to death.
Yeah, okay. Well, I liked it, and I'm going to persevere with it, and I'm looking forward to multiplayer, but seemed yeah, something ever so slightly sort of slapdash about it, but yeah.
I think that's harsh, because it's definitely been 3 years that they've spent on this since 3. They've been fucking working hard.
Yeah,
so
it's only intermittent. Yeah. It is only sort of in the smaller moments in between the big stuff, but it did strike me as a little bit unusual. But nevertheless, like I said, the game is ridiculously enjoyable at times, and I do recommend it. I'll speak more about it next week when I've finished the bastard.
For sure. Number one for me, a game I can't really talk about, unfortunately. It's annoying when I do this, I know. Gears of War Judgment. I finished the game yesterday morning. The embargo drops next week, so technically is the game I played the most. I'm not going to say anything about it apart from one thing. It's the anti-Tomb Raider, and I will explain what that means next week.
Interesting. I'm actually going to make a start on it this afternoon. So we'll speak about it next week. That's interesting. The anti-Tomb Raider, eh?
Yeah, I think I'll get in trouble if I say anything more than that.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. Okay, well, my number one is Battlefield 3. It's so far and away my number one. I think I've played it. If you took the rest of my top 10 list and multiplied it by 10, I've still played Battlefield 3 more than that amount of time. Because Endgame's out. I was playing it before Endgame, but Endgame's out. And yeah, it's the final map pack for premium. Well, for everybody, but the part of the premium package. And God, they've really gone out with a bang. It's the best one. It really is the best one. It's almost impossibly exciting. I don't know what it says about us, or what it says about DICE, or what it says about gaming, but the fact that a mode as old as Capture the Flag can be as refreshing and just, it's pure excitement in Battlefield. There's a lot to do with that. I mean, the way the vehicles are balanced, and these new bikes, they travel so fucking quick, but they can be locked onto by lock-on missiles, and you can be destroyed without even knowing about it. But the terrain is really rough and up and down, so you have to be really skilled with how you're driving around. And it's just the new maps are brilliant. They're very, very long and narrow, so they're brilliant for rush as well. But you cannot beat bombing. And when I say they're fast, have you seen how fast they are?
No.
When you're hammering it on one of these bikes, I mean, you go so quick. You feel like I'm playing on Xbox. You feel like the Xbox is about to buckle under it, because it's just like the fucking world is zooming past you. And you can, I've shot people speeding at high speed. It looks great. But barreling in on a bike while all this chaos is going on, nicking the flag, and then having your mate jump on the back and then just fucking hammering it. But it's so fun. I can't quite believe it. God, it's brilliant. It's so brilliant. I mean, I know you probably won't do it, but you should just have a couple of games of Capture the Flag, because it's obscenely entertaining.
If I could stick it on and do that, then I would, but I've got to stick it on and download about 9,000 9-gig updates to be able to do it, and that'll take hours.
It's worth it.
So, yeah. No, I'm sure it is, but I'm Battlefielded out until 4 now. I've made my decision, and it's going to be golden. You heard it here first. It's going to be really gold. Battlefield 4 gold.
Well, you're missing out. It's utterly tremendous. So,
but I told you, I'm basically walking around like a child in a room full of soldiers when I play that now, because I'm so leveled down.
Do you know Lionel?
Yes.
He bought Battlefield 3 at launch and never liked it, never really played it. He's not a shooter person. For some reason, he started playing it again, and he just bought Premium, and he's found things to do, because he's not great at the shooting. He just ends up getting shot. So he does things like he just ferries everyone around, and because there's so many roles you can take in Battlefield 3. And it just completely blows my mind. He texted me this morning, let's play Battlefield. I'm like, what? Lionel playing Battlefield? Fucking weirdo. But that's how good it is. It's goddamn great, and I love it. Done.
Battlefield 4 gold edition.
Okay.
Right. Thanks very much for listening. That's it, isn't it?
It is.
So yeah, thank you very much for listening. 54 in a can, ridiculous. Check out the website, thefiniteplaylist.com. Actually, there's not really anything on there apart from the podcast, and you already listened to that. So instead, check out the YouTube channel. That's Chet and John on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at John Denton, at Chet Roivas. We're on Facebook as well, but then that's just mainly the podcast. And another Twitter, Chet and John's, if you just want the podcast links. What else can you do? You can come and tell us games to play. That's always good. Worked out really well for us this week. Or you can just insult us, because that's fun too. So thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Take it easy. Thanks for listening. Battlefield 3 Endgame, play it. Download the Silent Age on iOS. Done. Goodbye.
Gold.
Oh, mommy, don't let the bad man hurt us. Fuck you. We're gonna whoop your mama's ass. Whoa!
There we go. One muzzled queen.
It's like 2 minutes. How much does that cost?
I don't know. I didn't check. I think it's like 69p for a pack of those things, and then you can buy specific cars, and it does scale up, and you can spend a fortune if you want, but it's up to you. When they don't make you pay for it in the first place, it doesn't bother me. The only thing I ever worry about is when you see stuff like this, and you worry that all games are going to be like this, and I think that's where the panic stems from. Yeah. But until that happens, and I don't think that will happen, when stuff like Assassin's Creed 3 is shifting 12 million and COD's doing whatever it's doing, FIFA's doing whatever it's doing, I don't think we need to worry about that just yet.
It seems to be doing quite well though. There's loads of 5-star reviews from people.
Oh yeah, like definitely. That. I mean, the last ones, they were the top grossing ones ever, I think, or certainly up there. So yeah, this one, people love that series. Yeah. It's a lot of people who aren't gamers, traditional gamers, I think, just got into gaming recently with their phones.
Yeah. True that. Okay, all right. My number 9 is an Xbox Live indie game called Galactic Fortress.
How do you find them?
Well, I found it because you can't judge a book by its cover, but you pretty much fucking can judge an Xbox Live indie game by its cover. That's actually not 100% true, but the cover it's an instant download. It's a guy. Not to be impolite, but he was a slightly geeky-looking guy who'd drawn a woman on his arm and he'd drawn over his own chest to make it look like he had a six-pack.
Oh, so there's a photo of him?
No, it's kind of like he's taken a photo and manipulated it, but he's drawn a six-pack on himself and he's holding a massive machine gun with a girl on his arm, and I was like, it has to be good. No, it's one of the worst Xbox Live indie games I've ever downloaded. To its credit, though, it's actually there's a really good idea behind it. It sort of takes on the tropes of the modern military shooter, so all the class systems and stuff, and the game types are like capture the flag and whatnot. But it's all top down. It looks like Gauntlet.
Okay.
It doesn't work. The phrase that kept jumping into my head when I was playing it is bric-a-brac, because all of the
for iPhone and iPad. The Silent Age, you'll talk about it later, and you'll probably be able to talk about it in more detail.
Cool.
But,
we'll do.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, my number 8 is Need for Speed Most Wanted. It's blatantly not my number 8, it's my number 1 probably, or number 2, but I don't want to talk about it very much. I'll just say this, after we recorded last week, as I said, a load of us went to go and have a game. We all jumped into a lobby and one of us couldn't join. It said that he had new DLC when all of us didn't. And it turns out that he'd, on booting the game up, had been asked to download a 2.1 gig update that none of us had been asked to do.
Right.
It wasn't in the store. We couldn't find it. So what we had to do was go all the way back to the dashboard, search Need for Speed, and jump through all of these hoops to finally find it. Just as an illustration of how fucking screwed it is. I mean, it is such a... Yeah, it's as brilliant as it is. You get the feeling that EA are kind of... it's on the back burner. I might be wrong about that, but anyway, that was just another illustration of how fucking stupid it is. They've given us a load of new content. You get new billboards and stuff. There's new playlists for online play. Some of them are really funny. Some of them just involve all of you just driving off a hill by the lighthouse and just seeing all these cars flying into the ocean's funny. And just this, I'm trying not to turn into Howard Hughes. Do you remember our friend Zeno with Crackdown?
Oh yeah, when he had to get every single orb.
And there was one orb for about a month, and I remember I went round to his gaff, and the blinds were closed, and he was sat there like pasty face, just walking around that world. I was like, I'm not going to let that happen to me, but there's one speed camera in Most Wanted that I haven't found, and I've played that game so much, and I've driven everywhere so many times, and the fact that I'm not going to let it start to bother me, because there are moments where I'm just like, where is it then? It must be somewhere.
You can't highlight them on the map or anything like that.
You know what? I think there must be a way. I think that you can download like a PDF or something from the internet which has them all marked, and I'll look into that when it starts to bother me. And driving around in Friends free play mode, me and my girlfriend the other day were just driving around looking for billboards. Some of the new billboards are like, if you want to be a sniper, it's like a purple triangle or something. If you want to be a medic, it's like a rectangle with fucking prongs and a star symbol on it. It's just like, there's no assets. It's just a load of shapes, sort of just to try and make things look like... It just looks like a fucking mess.
Stickle bricks.
What's stickle bricks?
Those little bricks that used to stick together when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Those little prongs,
yeah. But it looks... I mean, it's ugly as sin. That your enemies take loads of bullets. You only take one to die. You can't tell where the flag is because the only mode available on the free trial is to capture the flag, and you don't know where it is. And you can't tell your enemies apart from your own team because you're just massive sort of moving bric-a-brac shaped fucking mess. It's absolutely diabolical. It's a nice idea, and I can kind of empathise with the guy that made it because there must be a real temptation if you're just starting out making games to make something just so you can put it for sale. But it shows a bit of a lack of self-awareness because nobody in their right mind would pay for this. It doesn't work. It's nice that you've made it, but don't try and sell it to me because you're a nutter. Yeah, I mean, a horrendous letdown, but a good idea, really.
A nice cover art.
Nice, yes, I suppose you could say it was nice.
Yeah, I'm all for people drawing six-packs on themselves, so
Yeah,
good play to that guy.
Yeah, me too.
My number 8 is a game called The Silent Age, which was recommended by a listener on Twitter. Free iPhone adventure game. Did you get it as well?
I did. It's higher on my list, yeah.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to play that much of it, unfortunately. But what I did play, I really liked the style of it. This kind of like 70s, I don't know what you'd call it, but very 70s-y style. It's definitely a point-and-click adventure with gameplay. I was worried when I started playing it was going to be one of those games where you just walk in a straight line, but it actually seems to have little puzzles in it, a lot of intrigue. I've just got to the bit where you kind of find out what the entire plot of the game's going to be.
Yeah.
You know, and I meant to go back to it, but I just literally haven't found time.
Okay.
But as a free download, it's properly a free game. So even from what I've played, I'd highly recommend it.
New Super Mario Brothers U on the gamepad. And I was just like, why don't I always play this? It's superb. It's a superb Mario game. Because I played it primarily before it came out, I didn't see all the Miiverse messages that come up after you die or after you complete a level, and some of them were really helpful. So that was quite cool because I mean, obviously there wasn't many of those around, when I played it initially. Yeah. But yes, a hell of a game. Really, really good 2D Mario game. What can you say?
Yeah, no doubt. I need to go back to it. I'm right at the end. I think I'm one world off the last world. I don't know. I had good intentions, as I always do with Mario. I was like, I'm going to get every coin. I'm going to get every secret level. I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think I'm going to have time. But I definitely want to beat Bowles. Yeah,
fair enough. I will. I don't know.
It's nice to stick the old Wii U on again as well.
It is. It was nice.
It's
been a little while, yeah.
Yeah, good old Mary. Number 9 for me is Real Racing 3. I talked about it last week. I'd only just played a little bit of it. And the in-app, it's free and then it's all sort of in-app purchase type deal. And I didn't find it too egregious. Playing more, it is very intrusive. As you're driving, your car will deteriorate, basically. Like the engine suffers and the oil suffers, and that affects its performance. And you can repair it getting in-game currency, but even when you get a repair, you have to wait for that to 2 minutes for that to work or something like that. So everything eventually is just like spinning plates and all these timed things just to be able to play again. And of course you can pay for a second currency, which you also earn in-game as well, but much slower. You can pay to speed everything up and keep playing. The fact the game is free and is so good, it doesn't really bother me so much. I don't really want to play games that are built like this because it just doesn't. I think I'm just from a different generation. I would rather lay down three or £4 for this game and just play it normally. But the fact it's free in the first place, if that's the structure of the game, that's how it works. It doesn't bother me that much, and it's still a really nice game.
I'll talk about it in a bit because I have played it as well. But I mean, if you have to pay for something, say you wanted to bypass a load of things that were going to...
Nice cover art. Nicer boobs.
Hello and welcome to episode 54 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name's Chet Roivers. With me as usual is John Denton.
What's up?
The format's the same as ever. John and I are going to go through 2 top 10 lists, the 10 games we've been playing over the last 7 days. Number 10s are the games we've been playing the least. Number 1s are the games we've been playing the most. That's it. John, let's go. Number 10.
Cool, quick one to start. Wipeout 2048 on Vita. Another PlayStation Plus deal. It's sitting on there. I'd actually got rid of my hard copy of the game. Decided to download it because it was free. Played it a bit. It's still really fun. And then I decided to delete it to make space for something else. And then as I did that, I realised that it's no longer free. So that would be the only time that I would play that game ever again. And as it was deleting, I was like, And then, that's over. But PlayStation Plus is awesome. I'll talk about it more in a bit.
Okay, all right, wicked. So when they give those freebie games away, it's just for a short window of time?
Yeah, but you can keep them. If once you downloaded them, they'll still work as long as you keep them. So on PS3, you've got a big hard drive. You just keep them for whenever. But I've only got an 8 gig stick on my Vita because of like absolutely extortionate prices that they charge for memory on that thing. So I can only really fit sort of 2, because 8 gig translates to like 6.2 gig or something. So you can only really keep 2 or 3 games on there at any time.
Yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. All right, okay, my number 10 is New Super Mario Brothers U on the Nintendo Wii U. We spoke about it a lot when it came out. I just turned it on because there's a PlayStation 3 game that I played, which is later in my list. I turned on the PS3 and there was an absolutely ridiculous update, which was a tiny bit of memory, but the PlayStation 3 is such a... whatever, it took me forever, so I just stuck the Wii U on and played